Hey guys, welcome back. In this lesson we're going to talk about the arithmetic operators. What it means it's basically just mathematical expressions. So, like addition, subtraction, multiplications, divisions, and modulus. So to give you some examples, let's go to Google Chrome and write the arithmetic operators. Just go in here, and this is what I'm talking about. So we got the plus, the addition, we got subtraction, minus, multiplication, division, modulus. So basically all of these operators here is just a basic way to do some math. For example, a plus b equals 30, so we know that a says 10 here, and the b holds 20, so 10 plus 20 equals 30. So let's try this. Let's try to make this thing, everything works in Java. Let's go to Sublime. So we got something called int, stands for integer. Oops, sorry. Integer, just to show you guys. So this means basically a whole number. So whatever you're going to try to make a number. Let's say you want to try to make a decimal number. So let's try to say, for example, 4.6. The int will make sure it'll only take the 4 number here, not the 0.6. So it will exclude the decimal number. Whatever, if you have so many numbers, it still excludes. Even though you can round up the 4.6, and when you round up the 4.6, it will be 5. So that is for int. I'll just write the int number right now. I'll just call it x. And we got a double. The double basically means if you got decimal numbers, it will show up. So if you have like 6.78 or whatever, it will show the whole number 6.78. So that is the thing about the double. So it counts everything with the decimal number. So let's make an example. Let's go for 2. And let's call it double. I will make call for y. Right. 2. Oh, you know what? We'll take example int after, int first and double after. Let's call it for y equal to, and I'll just remove it. So in order for this to work out, let's just write system.out to print line, and let's type x plus y. We get the result will be 4 for sure, right? So what we'll do, it will just multiply x plus 4. So let's go for double a equal 2.2 and double b 2.2. So we know if we actually write a and b and compile it. Oh, sorry, it says I'm expecting a semicolon. One more time. Alright, so we know it's 4.4, so that's okay, So we can just write minus. Oh, minus, sorry. Same thing, will show 0.0. And we can multiply it, We get this number. We can divide it to get to this number. And we can write the modulus. Compile it, we get 0.0. So this is one way to do it, and you can also write, for example, int sum equal x plus y, and this is one way to calculate the whole thing. So instead of writing in the system in the print line, because the best thing about coding is that the less you actually try to print or show the result, the way you code, the more refined it looks, instead of having a lot of things going on. So yeah, so let's just compile it and it works. So the other part I want to show you guys is that we can get an error message. So basically we know that int is a whole number and we know double is a decimal number, right? So for a beginner, we always think like, you know, the computer is almost a magical machine that understands everything we write, you know, it's supposed to understand a way. But, you know, to be honest, the computer is real dumb, to be honest, you know, and you need to kind of like give instruction when you code it and be specific what you're doing. So to demonstrate this, we can just, for example, let's say you want to take the int variable x and then you want it to multiply with a, right? And you're thinking, oh, okay, all right, I'll do that. I'm supposed to think it should work because, well, you know, 2 plus 2.2 is 4.2, right? But let's compile it. You get the error message. It says, error, compilable types, possible lossy conversion from double to int. So what means that basically you can't just take the int, the primitive data type, the int, and expecting it to work together with double. So it doesn't work that way. You have to actually make sure that either the int has to be double. Oh, sorry, the y has to be double. Sorry, you know, so in order both to work. So it's like to give an example of real life. So think of like a screw and has a shape like a star, and you want to find a screwdriver that actually match to use to screw to screw it out, right? You can't just use any kind of screwdriver, right? So same thing with the double. You can use the double. The double needs to be the same thing, you know, when actually going to work together. So what we can do, we can actually do something. We can forcing things in Java. So what you can think is that, okay, we know this here is double, right? We want to use the double here, and let's say we want to force it to be a integer. So what we have to do, you have to write a bracket in here and write int. So this is a way to say, hey Java, I know this is a double, but hey, I just want you to just make a whole number for me, an integer. You know, that's it, and I'm forcing you to do it. So basically, you have to initiate your variable, and this is the way in Java, the syntax is how you write it. So this is the way you actually forcing something. And here as well, we have to switch the A and B. Oh, and the other part is that if you actually try to run it, it's still an error. So this is the reason, because it says line 16, right? It says from double to int. Doesn't work that way because this is the double. Everything is a double, and you want to write an int. So what you have to do is you have to think that you have to write a double here in order to work. So this is actually the way how you need to find something common. So everything this is in common, A and B has in common, but the C was actual an int, so it doesn't have anything common here, right? Because we declared A and B as a double in here, but this one shows the int. So what we need to do, we have to just write down the double. So let's compile it, and it shows 4.0. So it got one single digit. We know that 2.2 plus 2.2 it's 4.4, but it shows just 4.0. And now this is actually the last part I think. Yeah, this is the last part I want to show you guys. So if you can see, take a look on the Java library right here, I imported. We got Javax swing J option pane. So we know this one from the previous unit. This is actually where you need to import the library in order to make a window, right? Something to write and something to let the user input something. Now we got two new things here. We got the integer and double, right? So what does it mean? Well, okay, let me demonstrate to you guys. Let's write the string input. Let's call it for show input dialog. and type a number. Right. Next, you have to write int, and let's call the int for a number. And then we can write something new we're learning right now. It's parse int and semicolon. Right, so the parse int, I'll just write input right here. So the parse int, basically, this means like you want to convert something. So we know the string. Oh, I wrote string. So we know the string is actually where you have to, it's a comment field. It's actually where you type things, right? It's a comment. And we know show input dialog, it comes from J option pane. But the parse int, this one here is a special thing. This comes from this one here. So what does it mean, this library you're actually importing? So if you take a close look on the string, we're not using string, it's a text, right? Whatever you're going to type down, it will show out as a comment field. So let's just demonstrate something. Let's just take a comment field here. We know that if we actually type, let's compile it again and type 8, it shows 8. Of course, that's okay. Now, let's say I actually want this number 8 to be calculated as B, right? So 8 plus 2.2, that is 8 plus 2. Oh, sorry, 8 plus 2.2 is 10.2. I'm sorry, I'm a bit late right now. But anyway, it says the error string cannot be converted to double. So we know that this is double, right? You know, let's just go for the X. So this one doesn't work. So why it doesn't work? Well, because like this is the same principle with the double things you want to force from double to int. So you have to force the same thing with string. So you have to write int number and parse int. Parse int, basically you're just forcing the string, the type of number you're actually typing down, it will get the result. So let's just try to write some right here. Oh yeah, of course. This has to be int too. And what else is going on here? Plus x. String cannot be converted to. Yeah, of course, it has to be a number. Let's convert it. So we know this is. I'll just type 8, and we know x is 2, so it will show 10. So what you have to do, you have to you have to force the string to convert to an int. So this is where it comes in. The integer is actually one of the function of the integer of Java. It has the integrated the function called parse int. So this is how actually you are converting something. But you know, you could always write a double instead of an int. You know, and this has to be double too. And what else? Let's call this for an. I'll just type it for a B. And print it out. What is going on now? Oh yeah, of course the double here too. So many numbers going on. I get confused myself. Right, so let's just type 8.2. It shows 10.2, right? So this is the basically when you actually want to convert something, you need to use the integer. Of course, you need to use the J option pane. So these two, this is actually how you actually use a show input dialog. Oh, and the last thing I actually forgot to mention, which is important. If you think about logic, you know, if we're input plus input, and let's just compile it. Well, you know what? I'll just make something more better. Input 2 equal show input dialog, type another number. All right, one more time. So if I actually write 2 and 2, you think it's supposed to be 4, right? Because it's plus, but unfortunately it will just show 2 and 2, 22. So it doesn't really mean that it's not adding something up. It's basically showing that this is a text you wrote 2, and this is another text you wrote 2 as a comment. So 2 and 2. That shows that shows just a 2. That's it. So it's 2 2 22. Well, that's it. All right. Okay. I guess this video is kind of long, but thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and if you actually like this video, please share. And visit my website. You'll get a lot of exercises that may be difficult, and that's pretty good way to exercise and let your brain to think more logical things. So anyway, thank you for watching, and see you next lesson. Bye.